On today's show, we're talking with former big leaguer and 2018 champion with the Boston Red Sox, Andy Barkett. Andy tells us how champions like Mookie Betts and JD Martinez go about their routine every single day, and how that same approach can help you in the business world.
He was searching for a feel every day. He was searching for preparation for that against that starter that we were getting ready to face that night. So he was, again, like from the core, the relentlessness. He was relentless with his routine.
Right. I talked to Barkett about his new endeavor, training athletes on the mental side of the game, and how there are many parallels to hitting a baseball in front of 50,000 people or giving a presentation inside the boardroom. Hi, everybody. Mike Gonzalez alongside former big leaguer Andy Barkett of the Boston Red Sox championship team in 2018. Andy, glad to be with you, man. It's been a minute, brother.
Yeah, it has been. Mike G, good to see you, man. You look good in your suit.
Hey, man, I've got to play the role. So great to have Miami guys back together. But real quick, tell us what you've been up to. I know you're still coaching a lot and really getting into the mental skills side of things. So give us a quick synopsis.
Yeah, I spent the last 3 years as the minor league hitting coordinator for the Chicago White Sox. And first year, we kind of, put in the mechanics and the movement type drill packages and whatnot. And then the second year, we kind of tried to the approach and really try to get the players to be hunting pitches and looking for certain spots in games and game planning, et cetera. And then this year, I had written a curriculum for mental skills. I felt like we could fix swings pretty well. I felt like we could get players to buy in on an approach, but the mental skills part, I felt like we really had some work to do. So with some help of some mental skills coaches, sports psychologists, I put together a program, and subsequently I didn't get renewed by the Chicago White Sox. And so I've started teaching that curriculum in the private sector to academies, schools, and then obviously individual players.
Well, I was so excited to catch back up with you, especially when you started to do the mental side of things, because I just feel like there's so many parallels between sports and business, and in my role as basically a CEO of a county, as an administrator, you go in front of crowds, you have to have confidence. And I just love the fact that you're doing this, because I really think a lot of people can benefit on the sports side and the business side. So I want to get right into it and talk about your CORE approach, which is an acronym, CORE, CORE. So let's talk about championship mindset, because you got to have that in business, and you obviously have to have that in baseball and sports. Talk about championship mindset a little bit.
So I developed CORE really from the 2018 Boston Red Sox, as that team not only was one of the most talented group of people on the field, as well as off the field, the human beings that we had on that club, but the way they went about it mentally, just watching it as a coach, even though I was an insider, I'm observing every day, I'm observing the way that these guys are going about their business. And, there's lots of people that talk about championship mindset that have never won a championship before.
Right.
No idea. There's probably been books written, people making $1 million off championship mindset, and they've got 0 championships under their belt. So I actually was fortunate enough to be a part of that World Series championship team and see what championship mindset is every day. And so the acronym really kind of encompasses championship mindset with ownership of process, the O, relentlessness, and enthusiasm. And when I'm speaking about it or teaching, I go into each letter and kind of break all of them down. So, I mean, championship mindset, you can go, lots of different directions, but, it's posting every day, man. Like those guys, from day one of spring training until the final day of the World Series, there was a level of locked in, so to speak, that really never wavered. And to the point that we're in LA at Dodger Stadium in the World Series, and I knew I was in the World Series. I knew what was going on, but we were so focused on what we were doing every day. We were so locked in on our process, and so just focused on what we were doing that I didn't realize the gravity of where we were until, like, you look over and, oh, there's Kobe Bryant and there's Jason Nicholson, and you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, I'm back to the game. So, but like we were so focused that we didn't even realize you're in the World Series, because our mindset was so locked in.
And you told a really good story about Mookie Betts from that team that year. that you threw so many pitches to him in the cage that you had to go to the chiropractor, but he always wanted to have one more round in the cage. So you talk a lot about process and the parallels to business. I always tell people, if you want to be successful, sometimes there's not as much work-life balance as you want to have if you want to go to that next level. So talk about how hard he worked, because he's a superstar, arguably the greatest player in the game, but he was always going into the cage every single day.
Yeah, I tell you, my work day would start normally around 12:30, 1 o'clock, get to the ballpark, get dressed, grab a little something to eat, go over scouting reports. And, by the time you kind of did all of that, here comes Mookie into the batting cage, usually the first guy. If not the first, he's in the first three. And you know that when he came in, and actually in Fenway, we only had one cage, believe it or not. And I'm guessing it's still the same. It's just not, it's an old ballpark. Batting cages didn't exist in the 1920s or whatever when it was built. So the batting cage is kind of an afterthought. It's just stuck in there. So there's only one. So when Mookie was in the cage, you know that, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes of him grinding through his routine. And depending on how he feels that day, that may turn into 25, 30 minutes, or it could be just a quick one. But normally he was searching for a feel every day. He was searching for preparation for against that starter that we were getting ready to face that night. So he was, again, like from the core, the relentlessness. He was relentless with his routine.
Right.
And he was relentless to try to make sure that his daily process was continuing to evolve and clean up so that he could really depend on that when it came time to perform in the game. If your process is really good and you're constantly evaluating your process, and as you said, it goes the same for business as well as in athletics. You're evaluating your process to see, can I do anything better here? Can I make this more efficient? Can I clean this up? So that when it comes time to perform, you don't have to worry. You just lean on all the work you've done and know that you're prepared so that you can stand up in front of a group and speak and have confidence because you're relying on your preparation. You've done the work. And so at that point, you just have confidence and roll. And that's what he was able to do. He won the American League MVP in 2018, and I got to watch and have a front row seat for, you know, 99.9% of the work that he did every day. He and I were doing it together. And so it was an honor and a privilege to be able to serve Mookie and the Red Sox and be a part of that team and just watch that championship mindset and relentlessness and enthusiasm and process all play out on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love what you say, Andy, about process. And I was watching one of your podcasts and talking about JD Martinez, and I was thinking about process in my line of work where I'm a county administrator, and you're constantly tweaking. And what I find is you have to have that routine, even in with what I do. And it starts out with our Monday meetings that we have every day with department heads. And I've even tweaked that meeting to make it more effective, quicker, more efficient, so we're not wasting our time. Because honestly, I had to evaluate. We were wasting a lot of time with jibber jabber, and I finally said, look, I've got to go in with an agenda. I'm reaching out to my employees before the meeting, making sure they're coming in with concise answers. So we're getting that consistency. So when we get to our public meeting on Wednesdays, we're good to go. So I love that parallel. But I want you to talk a little bit about JD Martinez, because something really resonated with me when you were talking on that podcast, how he was very particular in how he did his routine every single day. So when he went out to perform, man, he was on point.
Yeah, I mean, I have countless examples of him. You talk about a structured individual who has a plan of attack every day when he walks into the cage in order to improve and get better. One day he'd be working on his back hip, and one day he's working on his elbow slot, and the next day he's working on his bat path. He's constantly grinding on his routine and making sure that he's doing things every day to maximize his ability to perform in the field. On the field, I remember one night we were beating a team. It was like the eighth inning. We were beating a team like 11-1, bottom of the eighth at home. And I remember him coming up to me and like, I'm checked out for the night. Like it's been a 4-hour game. Like, let's get this, we're winning. Let's get to the spread. It's time, right? Comes up to me and he's locked in like it's, the bottom of the ninth and the game's tied. And he's looking at the iPad. He's watching the reliever warm up. He's like, hey, bro, go set up the machine as hard as you can, open in fastballs. And I'm like, JD,
Really?
I'm on like a peanut butter and jelly right now, and
Right.
I'm done for the night, you know. He's like, and he's looking at me like, what, like, why aren't you moving yet? So I'm like, all right, fine.
Right.
So I go set the machine up. It's humming. I mean, maybe 95 miles an hour,
Wow.
100 up and in. And I'm sitting here feeding the machine going, what is he even doing? Like, why are we doing this? He's watching the TV to see when he's going up to bat. Finally, he leaves. So I'm like, I don't even know what we did that for. And I'm picking up balls and just kind of watching. I'm too tired even to walk outside to watch his at bat, right? I've just kind of had enough of it. So I'm
Yeah.
watching the reliever come in to face him. First pitch, up and in ball. Next pitch in the dirt ball. Next pitch, up and in, double off the right center field wall. So he
Wow.
was practicing what he was getting ready to see and wanted to like be so locked in, and he wanted his practice to be harder than the actual game, so that when he got in the game and he faced the guy, the ball was appearing even slower, and he had
Yeah.
just prepared for this exact moment, this exact type of pitch. And I remember thinking to myself, ooh, that's a bad man. That
Yeah.
that dude just came in here with a total agenda, and here I am ready, ready for, like I said,
Right.
a day and a Coke and ready to check out. And he's not satisfied with two or three hits on the night. He wanted four. And like to me, that is like the ultimate professionalism, is that I'm not going to give any moment away. And I'm going to prepare like a champion. If it's 11-1, winning or losing, or if we're in the World Series, bottom of the ninth, game seven, every moment is the same. And that's what I really got to respect, gain some respect for the way that he went about his business, and realize that I was around one of the greatest players in the game.
That's an incredible story. So we're talking with Andy Barkett, former coach with the Boston Red Sox, won a championship in 2018, big leaguer himself with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're talking about his core principles: championship mindset, ownership, relentlessness, and and enthusiasm as well. Let's talk about enthusiasm, because I think in any endeavor you got to have a little enthusiasm. I think everybody dislikes the guy that's always kind of the sourpuss, and I mean it there's so many parallels in business again and sports, where there can be that cancer in a boardroom and there can be the cancer inside the clubhouse. How nice is it when you know you got a guy with talent and enthusiasm, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like enthusiasm is something that can really bring people together. You and I both grew up in a very multicultural city, especially even in the area that we grew up, a very multicultural, super multicultural area of the city that we lived in. And so, when you have that, a baseball team, a professional baseball team is very similar to growing up in South Florida. Like, you have people
Absolutely.
from all different parts of the world all coming together. And when that happens, you have a blend of all these different personalities and cultures. It can go lots of different ways. However, if within that group, people are enthusiastic, especially about, your daily process and what you're doing every day, then that is something that can really bring people together. For example, Mookie that year bought a speaker in spring training. I told him, I said, we need a
Mhm.
speaker for the cage. So go to Best Buy today and get us a good one. I don't want no cheap crap either. I know what you're making. So
Yeah.
he bought a speaker, and I was able to find everybody's playlists. Like Mitch Moreland liked Eric Church, and
Yeah.
Christian Vasquez liked Victor Manuel, and Mookie liked Drake. And so when they would come in, I would have their playlist going, and you could see that kind of made them feel relaxed. And then that would, somebody else would start nodding their head, like liking the song, and then
Yeah.
conversation happens, and somebody's laughing, and now we're having a time where you have some superstar caliber people here collectively learning and growing and playing and trying to get better together. Now it was really like pretty cool to see this environment created, through just everybody being kind of enthusiastic about what we were doing every day. And if you're trying to accomplish something special, like winning a championship or achieving anything special in business, if you're not going at it every day with enthusiasm, like, it's going to be really difficult. We've all been in situations on losing teams or years in work when things aren't going well. Usually everybody's in a bad mood and drab and blah, and it's really hard to get anything accomplished. So just like from my alma mater at NC State, Jimmy V. That was one of his favorite words was enthusiasm and how
Oh,
he
yeah.
lived his life and part of where I brought the E in core was for him, but as well I saw it every day in how we went about our business and how that is so essential as a part of a championship team.
Yeah, that's so important. I love that element. Well, Andy, man, it's been great to catch up with you. Before we let you go, tell us how we can get a hold of you if folks want to get mental training, whether on the sports side or business side.
So I'm on Twitter at abarquette17. Well, and then recently just opened up a new Instagram account. It's called holistic_hitting. And there I have, you can contact me, DM me. You can also send me an email. On my link tree, there's a website on my socials and YouTube channel under Holistic Hitting. So I'm on social media. You can find everything on my Twitter link tree and send me an email and go to the website. The website is baseballprosacademy.com. Again, the link is up there, social media pages, and I'll be happy. I work with professionals and college, amateur, high school athletes all over the country, and sometimes I even work with pitchers just on the mental side. So I
Right.
definitely would be able to help some people and through my experiences in the game and so yeah, reach out and love to have a conversation.
Awesome, man. Always great to catch up with brother from the 305. Great to see you, man. It's been a
You too,
minute.
man.
And Andy Barquette, former big leaguer with the Pittsburgh Pirates, championship coach with the Boston Red Sox, and my homie from Miami, Florida. Great to be with you. Look him up. We'll be right back.